So there's one thing I do in my thumbnails, art pieces, whatever else I do in Photoshop that really can take anything to the next level, visually, aesthetically, and whatever else. So I have this thumbnail here, and I can show you what it looked like when I first tried it into Photoshop. It looks dull. Like I just took somebody's piece of art, whatever. It looks very dull, boring, which works for whatever art piece that they wanted to make. But for a thumbnail, it's very boring. It's very lackluster. I couldn't put that in the thumbnail. It doesn't look right. I mean, you could for a certain type of video, but for my aesthetic that I want on this channel, it doesn't stand out enough to me. So what I did was I used these two layers and the camera raw to really elevate it. And I could take you through that. So what you do in Photoshop, and you could use this for thumbnails, art pieces, whatever you guys make in Photoshop, and it'll really help your art to stand out. It'll help your thumbnails to stand out way more than anybody else's in the home feed, or the home page. So you just go down here, go to Selective Color, and so what this does is it selects different colors from the image, and you can just adjust how it looks really in a basic sense. So first we have reds, and what I do is I just really just go through and just see what looks better, see what looks good. So I'm gonna add a little bit more yellows in the reds. That looks good. And then I'll just go through one by one. And really, it's just about having an eye for what looks good. And this is one of the best ways that I learned how to just see color, is just by doing this on a ton of thumbnails. And I just learned a lot more. It's about color. And what I'm actually doing really is I'm trying to get two distinct colors to pop the most in the thumbnail. So sometimes there'll be a thumbnail that has like 6 colors in it, and I'll take out a ton of the color and just leave like the red and blues or something like that. So you have that complementary color that really is eye-catching. But let's see the magentas here. Add a little more yellow. And this is the best one right here is the whites, because this has the most impact on how the image looks. You can make it look a little more washed out. You can make it look brighter. It's just everything in one little thing right here. I usually just add in more whites because it makes it look brighter, which is really good for a thumbnail. And these neutrals are really important too. I usually just do something like that. So you can see already that there's a big change there. And for what I did for this one, because I think the blues could have a little bit more of an impact in the image compared to the magentas. So I just added another selective color layer, and I just went back to the cyans and the blues and just added more. What this can do though is it can kind of make the image look a little distorted if you edit it too much. But I think for this one we're fine. But yeah, that already looks way better, even just with that little thing. And then what I do just to touch it up a little bit is I make a new layer, and then you can hit Control, Shift, Alt, and E, like that, and it'll take the image into a new layer. So like everything it sees, and then I'll convert that to a smart object. You just right click, convert to smart object. And then I'll come up here to Filter, Camera Raw, and this is really where all the magic happens, really. Because this is just all the final touches. So I'll come up here to the temperature. Maybe add a little bit more magenta in there. Then exposure, contrast, I'll up. Highlights, I'll take a little down. Shadows, I'll leave. But really the most important thing is clarity, which I'll up a little bit. Texture, I'll probably take down because this image already has a lot of texture because it was drawn on like a canvas or something like that. And detail too, you can remove, which is what I did. I just added a little noise reduction just to make it look a little cleaner. You can add a little sharpening back in. And the color mixer is kind of the same as the selective color, but what you can do is it has a little bit more of a different effect. So I just do this again and just go through and see how it looks. But really, yeah, the blues are going to be the biggest thing. which I'll probably take a little bit out or more into the aquas. And that's good. And that looks really good because it's more about just seeing how, just looking at the complementary colors really. Because if I have the magenta, something like this, it kind of looks off because this is too purple, so it's too similar to the blue, so it just looks weird. This is pretty good, but this is even better because the magentas are more neutral now. At least it looks that way because in comparison to the blues, but it just looks really good. And then for saturation, I'll just go through, probably up the oranges and the magentas a little bit. And then luminance, this will just make the colors brighter. So reds, I'll up. Magentas, I'll up a little bit. Blues, just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Compared to the one I did the other day, I think this one looks actually a little better. There's definitely some elements, like the blues and this one are a little better. But it really depends on what aesthetic you're going for, because there's so many ways you could take the image. There's so many different edits you can do to it. But really, it's just about making it look more appealing and aesthetically engaging. And so really, just to do that, selective color is the best way. I do this on every single thumbnail, every single piece of art. Like even my graphic design, I'll do this on just to add that little final touch. And I think if you're not doing this, I think there's a lot you're missing out on because it makes such a big impact on how the final piece comes out. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you guys want some more in-depth tutorials and actually how to implement the information I'm giving you, you could check out my Patreon. You could also join my private Discord through the Patreon and have direct access to me. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks guys for watching. This is another little video for you guys. I'm going to be talking about how important it is to become a versatile artist. And what that basically means to me is just having multiple skills, being able to, for example, in my case, being able to, film music videos, do photography, make beats, maybe do graphic design, social media, edit videos, stuff like that. Just stacking up your skill sets so that you can provide value to multiple people. Another thing this does, which I've been finding out recently, probably the most important thing, is it makes you more productive as an artist. Like if you don't want to, there's this quote from Rio Leva in an interview where he says, like, if I'm not making melodies, I'm making beats. If I'm not making beats, I'm making melodies. And it's the same thing. If you can do multiple skills, when you're not doing graphic design, you could be doing video editing. Where you're not doing video editing, you could be shooting a video or you could be making a beat. And it helps keep you creative and helps keep you creating. And it helps you stick out as well. There's so many artists who can just do graphic design. But when you add another skill to that, say graphic design and video editing, then the amount of people that can do both goes down dramatically. So it's just going to help you stand out. Now, if you can add a third or a fourth thing, you're going to be in a completely new league, especially if you're building a brand like what I'm trying to do. It's going to help set you apart because you can do everything. You can lead the direction. And then when you need other people, you can just hire them out. And it really helps because a lot of times as an artist, like you get kind of bored or just unmotivated. So say like you're making graphic design, like when I used to make a design every day, it would just get boring. And it would just, at least for me, I couldn't do it for that long. So now what I would do, I would make graphics and then one day I would just make beats. And it just helps keep you motivated, keep creating.